Okay, so let's get straight into it. Leadership masks. This is the first element we're going to be looking at, but what does leadership mask actually mean? Well, I'm fortunate in my job that I get to travel around the world, and that means spending many nights in hotel rooms, which sounds incredibly glamorous. But it also means I get to spend a lot of time on aeroplanes. And something I noticed a number of years ago was during the safety announcement, when everybody else is kind of like ignoring it. I paid particular attention, and there was one part that really resonated with me when it came to leadership. And that's when they make this announcement that's saying, should the air pressure depressurize within the cabin, there will be a mask that drops down from the panel above your head. Please make sure that you put your own mask on before helping anybody else. And if we think about that, that's a great metaphor for leadership of any sort, whether a hierarchical or even as person without any staff. We all have to make sure that we are capable of leading ourselves before we lead anybody else, before we can help anybody else. So one of the things that we're going to explore as we go through this is, how can we make sure that we are resilient and resourceful and able to deliver what needs to be delivered even when we're under pressure? But masks, when we think about leadership masks, also is an acronym. So let's take a look at this acronym, MASKS. Let's start at the end and work back. Focus on that first S. What does it stand for? So when we think of the first S, what it stands for is systems. So when we think of systems, we can think about systems in two ways. The first way is thinking about systems in respect of, how does business process things? What are the systems that we have in place? Computer systems, etc. The other side is our own personal systems. So we have habits of behavior that we have developed over time, which maybe were useful 10, 15 years ago, even 5 years ago, but we might need to update our systems as we go forward. So think about the business systems. We have processes in place, systems in place, computer systems to enable the processing of the information that we need. Pretty much every business has got this, from investment banking through to mining, through to a coffee shop. They're going to have a system in place in order to process the product and the service that they offer. From a personal perspective, thinking about our own personal systems, we have ways of doing things that we've grown accustomed to. And we would call this patterns of behavior. But what we'll see as we explore through this module of thriving under pressure by wearing the right leadership masks, sometimes we might be operating old systems that were once useful but might not be useful anymore. So that's the systems. The next one is looking at K. What does K stand for? So when we think of K, the K stands for knowledge. So when we think about knowledge in the concept of a leadership mask, in order to achieve something in a successful way, we must make sure that we have the right knowledge, the knowledge of what's needed, the knowledge of how to work something, and knowledge is all wrapped around about knowing what it is that we need to do. So what about the S? How does that play into this mask acronym? So when it comes to the S stands for skills. Now, how do skills then compare to knowledge? Because a lot of people use them as an interactive term. They think of them being the same way. But if we think about skills, skills is the ability to apply what you know. Now, sometimes knowing something doesn't mean that you can do something. If you've got children, you'll know that you can tell them how to ride a bicycle. But the only way that they can actually really master that skill is to actually get on it and do it themselves. You don't learn to drive a car, for example, in the passenger seat. You might know what you've got to do, but it's the skill is of actually applying that knowledge. And by the way, when it comes to mastering leadership skills, what we're learning on this session is around the knowledge. The way that you're going to get better at it is really focusing on the skill. So what about the A in mask? So when it comes to the A stands for attitude. So what is attitude? Well, attitude is the bit of behavior that people see in us and that we see in other people. This is the visible stuff that is sitting above the surface and that people will notice. Either we'll notice it in them or they will notice it in us. So what's driving attitude? And we can often say that there are people with a good attitude and there are people with a bad attitude. But what's driving that attitude? Well, this is where we come to the final piece of the puzzle, which is the M. Now, if we think about M in the context of the leadership mask, it simply stands for mindset. So what is mindset when it comes to linking in with attitude? Well, mindset is that thing that sits inside of us that we are constantly telling ourselves. We can have a good mindset, we can have good, strong beliefs about what we can do. We can have beliefs about what we're capable of when we're under pressure. We can even have beliefs about what other people are capable of. Mindset always links into motivation. How motivated are you? How inspired are you? Because there are days that you can have the knowledge and the skills and the systems, for example, to get out of bed, to go to work. We've got the systems in place to do that. We've got the knowledge of what's needed and we've got the skills. But sometimes our mindset, maybe, for example, on a Monday morning is, oh, I don't want to do that. And then that shows up in our attitude, which other people can see. And that attitude then has an impact, not on our skill level, not on our knowledge, but more importantly, on our ability to access that skill. So, thinking about this as an acronym, we're going to explore as we go through each one of these, and we're going to explore some leadership skills that you can start to learn, that you can start to master. Self-leadership, being able to thrive under pressure. We're going to give you some knowledge and we're going to give you some systems, some techniques that you can learn. The attitude is what people will start seeing in you, the behavior that they will start making judgments about you with. But what's going to drive everything is mindset. Now, when it comes to performance, we'll also explore, on balance, which one of those is more important and has more impact than the others. So let's go through to the next module.